Hey everyone, this is Jessica with Rooting for Life. I wanted to get on here and do a morning chat with you. For the people that watch me regularly, you know that my dirty secret in battling anxiety, and I've been trying to get back to work and on a schedule and a routine. So I went back to work on Wednesday. I am an agency aide, which means that I am a state tested nurse's aide and I am employed by an agency. So I'm kind of like, I'm contracted. So my local nursing homes, if they're short staffed or have a call off or anything like that, they can call my agency, or if they know beforehand, they'll give a list out to my agency and I can pick up shifts for them. And I just go to all the local nursing homes in my area, and I can even go further if I want to. I can go into other towns and stuff, but I typically stay here in my local area and do my local nursing homes just because it's a small community. I know more people and I feel more comfortable. So anyways, I went back to work on Wednesday, had anxiety going to work, but overall it was a really good day. I got to go in, do a 12-hour shift. I did a one-on-one, which means that if a resident is being combative or just not being able to get through their day with disrupting other people's lives, then they do a one-on-one and try to calm that person down, or just keep them out of trouble. So Wednesday I went in, I got to do a one-on-one with her for most of the day. It was a really good day. And then when you're an agency, they just move you wherever. You can be transferred to any unit in the building. So for the first 4 hours I did the one-on-one, and then I got moved to the floor with a couple other aides and did normal daily living routine with them. So Wednesday went really good. Then Thursday I went in, did another 12-hour shift, and it just so happened they had more than enough staff that day. They also have other agencies that come in too. And there was another girl that was from a different agency from me working, and we're doing a morning report and trying to figure out where everybody's gonna go and what everybody's gonna do for the day. And this day they wanted another one-on-one, which they had put my name on the one-on-one, and the other agency girl, she was scheduled to do showers. Well, she didn't want to do showers for 12 hours, so I agreed. We talked, and I said I could do the one-on-one for a couple hours and then switch off, and she could do it and then I could do showers, and we were planning on doing that throughout the day. Well, so I started off doing my one-on-one. It was on a lockdown unit with Alzheimer's, very confused patients, and so I did that one-on-one, and like in the first hour she was like just mentally going crazy. I don't even know how to describe it to someone that doesn't work in the nursing home. She was just very confused. And so one-on-one, you're supposed to be right next to the resident at all times in case a combative behavior happens, or she strikes out at other staff or other residents. So me and her's walking down the hall, things are going, and her personality is changing every 30 seconds. It's just flipping every 30 seconds. 1 minute she's like, oh, I love you, and da-da-da, holding my hand, and the next minute she's like, get away from me. She's just all paranoid. You're trying to take money from me. Get away, I don't have any money. She's just very confused. And we were walking up and down the hall, and she was holding my hand, and another resident was walking towards us, and I don't know what it was. The switch just switched over, and she flipped out. She grabbed that resident and had a hold of her arm, and so I intervened. I stuck myself in between her and the other resident, and she grabbed my wrist and scratched my wrist and she grabbed my arm. At the same time, she has my wrist and she has my arm. And she's just scratching me. She's kicking, spitting, and oh, it was bad. And so, like, I deal with that on a daily when I work in these nursing homes. It's not a big deal, you know. But she really tore me up that day. And like I said, I had scratches and stuff. But it was never been a big deal. I was just like, you know, clean it up, rub some alcohol on it, and go on with my day. So 2 hours go by, and the other aide, the agency aide that was doing showers, comes down and gets me. She's like, "You ready to switch?" And I'm like, "Yeah, 2 hours is enough. I'm ready to do showers." So we switch. I go to do showers, and she is doing the one-on-one. Well, thankfully, I told a few other coworkers, you know, that I was doing the one-on-one and what happened. She scratched me, and, you know, no big deal, but she scratched me. And I continued my day doing showers. Well, throughout the day, it's a 12-hour shift, so throughout the day, things happen. People, you know, staff have to leave, or they get sick, or whatever. So halfway through the day, I don't know, like, we ended up short-staffed, and they pulled me from showers, and I never did go back with that one-on-one. But I went to other units. When I was doing the showers, I was doing showers on 4 different units, so I was bouncing back and forth anyway. And then, I'd say, I don't know, about 1 or 2 o'clock, I got pulled down to a unit, and I stayed there for the rest of the day, and just doing daily routines with people. And overall, it was a really good day. And then, I went home for the evening. And then I had Friday morning off, or Friday off, so I stayed home and, you know, worked around the house and stuff. Well, Friday morning I woke up, and the scratches that she had left on my hand and my arm had turned into, like, welts, like, almost like bug bite welts. And I mean, they itched, but they didn't hurt or burn, or they weren't hot to the touch or anything. They just itched really bad. And I just really didn't think anything of it in the morning. As the day went on, like mid-afternoon, they started itching again. So I looked down, and I was putting on the doTERRA oils. I was doing the tea tree oil and coconut oil, and trying to heal them up just as a precaution. And that afternoon, I looked down, and they've, like, jumped. They've multiplied, and I'm just like, what's going on? So now I have, like, I started out with 1 huge raised bump, and now I have, like, 4. I'm like, what the heck? So anyways, I jump on to my Facebook groups, and I'm associated with, like, natural medicine, home remedies, and herbal remedies and stuff like that. So I get on that group, you know, looking for suggestions, and you know, I respect everybody's opinion, but it just seemed like everybody has an opinion. So I've got everything from people saying it's ringworm, it's scabies, it's flea bites, it's staph, like everything. Everybody's just putting their 2 cents in. So I'm just like, whatever, I'll just keep putting the tea tree oil on it and see if it gets any better. Well, I'm scheduled to go back to work on Saturday. So get up, go to work. It's been about 2 hours since I have been at work. We're just rushing around, getting everybody up for breakfast. And I had pulled my sleeve up a little bit. I've been trying to wear long sleeves too, to keep it covered in case it is something that's contagious. So I had long sleeves on. I pulled it up, you know, halfway up to my elbow, and it started itching really bad. And the nurse was like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, Thursday I was working, you know, on a one-on-one, and she scratched me, and now I have this rash, and I don't, you know, it's just really bothering me. She was like, "Well, let me see it." So I let her see it, and she was like, "Oh my goodness." She was like, "That looks like staph." And I was like, "Really?" So now I'm getting paranoid. I'm getting scared. And she was like, "Yeah, you should show the supervisor." So one of the supervisors had happened to be walking up the hall, and I grabbed her and I'm like, look at this. And she was like, what happened? And I explained the situation, and she's just like, well, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what it is. And I'm like, okay. So I went on through my day. About noon, 12:30, it started really bothering me again, and just started itching really bad. So I looked down, and I have like 6 or 7 more huge raised spots, like, and this time they were like welts, like around the bump. There's a huge red welt around it. I'm just like, I don't know what to do. And so I call my agency. I start calling them. Nobody's answering because it's Saturday. I'm leaving messages telling them that I need to leave and I want to go to urgent care and get it checked out because now I'm freaking out at Staph. And if anybody knows, Staph can get into your bloodstream. So I was freaking out about that. And calling my agency. They wouldn't answer. So they had known that I was trying to talk to them and text them and call them and stuff, and they were aware. The nursing home was aware of that. Well, finally, I just got to the point because on Saturdays, urgent care is only open until 5 o'clock. So it's getting like to be 2:30, and I was like, well, I don't want to miss going. I don't want to keep going with this rash. I need to find out what it is and need to stop it before it gets worse. So I am a horrible, horrible liar. Anybody that knows me knows that I cannot lie. I do not want to lie. I'm just horrible at it. You can read it all over my face. But in this instance, I felt that it was necessary. The nursing home was not going to let me leave. They were mad. In situations, I guess, situations like this, they don't care. As long as they have a warm body in the building, they don't care what's going on with you. You could be laid out on the floor dying, and they'd be like, oh, she's fine, she'll be all right. And they will not let you leave. So I'm arguing with the nurses. Why would you want me to stay in the facility if you have all said that you think it's Staph? It's highly contagious if it is Staph. So why would you want me to continue working in your facility, spreading this bacteria throughout the building? They're just arguing. They're like, you're not allowed to leave and everything. So finally, I just got so frustrated. I'm like, yeah, well, I talked to my agency and I talked to my agency and they said that I could leave. And they were like, all right, whatever, they were really unhappy. So I left and I went to urgent care, and about 10 minutes later, my agency finally calls me back. And it wasn't because they got my messages or they got my texts. It's because the nursing home called them and said that I had left and that they had given me permission, which we all know was a lie. So I get my butt ripped. She's screaming at me, why would you lie and tell them that I gave you permission to leave? I was like, look, I honestly believe that I have an infectious rash going on. The nurses and everybody looked at it. They think it's Staph. I said I needed to get medical treatment. And I was just so mad at this point, and she's just screaming at me. She's like, if you're lying to me and there's not something really going on, I'm just gonna have to let you go. And I was like, well, that's fine. I said, if you have to let me go because I thought I needed medical treatment. I said, but I am at urgent care right now. And she was like, all right, and real snotty. She was just like, well then, she was like, when you're done with the urgent care, I need you to fax that paperwork over to me. And I was like, that's fine, whatever. So I'm at urgent care, and I finally get seen, get pulled back and everything, and the nurse looks at it, and the routine. She's like, the doctor will be back in a minute. They took my vitals, my blood pressure and my O2 and everything, and they were normal. And he comes in and he looks at my arm and he's just like, wow. And he sits down and talks to me, asked me a little bit, like, where I work. I had my scrubs on, so he knew I was in the medical field, and I had all my equipment in my pockets sticking out. So I just came from work so he could see. And so he wanted a little history, where I worked, that type of thing. And I told him the nursing home, the local nursing home, and he was like, have you had an injury lately or anything? And I told him about the woman, the resident, scratching me. And I didn't have a fever or anything like that, but he's like, my gut is telling me that it's staph. And he's like, I'm really scared for you because most staff that are in nursing homes are MRSA. And if you don't know, staph and MRSA are like in the same family. They're like the same thing, just one is more progressed than the other. One is a higher strain. So MRSA is like, staph is really, really serious too, but MRSA is like really serious. They can get into your bloodstreams. You know, I've seen many cases in the nursing home with MRSA. You have to put people on universal precautions, which means you have to, you know, gown up, the medical gowns, you have to wear those. You have to wear booties on your shoes. MRSA and staph is very, very contagious. Now with MRSA can live up on like a surface, like say a bedside table. It can actually live on a hard surface like that for up to a week. So it doesn't matter, like, if that person has been cleared, they don't have MRSA anymore, if their things are not being cleaned properly, MRSA can be transferred. Very scary. Staph the same way. If you go, for example, into a grocery store and the person before you was pushing around that grocery cart and they had a cut on their hand and they got MRSA on that cart, that can be transferred to you. Same way with public restrooms. You could go to a public restroom and the person before you sat down and, you know, got MRSA on that toilet seat. You come sit down on that toilet and it can be transferred into your urinary tract. It's really, really scary. And when I went into this doctor at urgent care, he was telling me that there have been at least 50 cases of MRSA come walking through that building in the last 2 weeks, which is really, that's like a lot of people in my small town. That's scary. So, and what makes me so mad about it is that, you know, I'm constantly washing my hands, constantly making sure that, you know, I'm not spreading anything. And it just so happened that this woman scratched me and I got an infectious disease. So now I'm off work for, I think, another week until the antibiotic can get into my system. And I hate pharmaceuticals. I don't like taking them. I know that in some situations like this that I have to take medications, but I'm more of a natural remedy type of person. I hate taking the pharmaceuticals, especially antibiotics. They scare me. Steroids, they don't work good in my body. When I had my flare-up with my back surgery, I was on that, what was it? It was a steroid. Prednisone. And everybody knows what prednisone, and it threw me into a psychiatric break. Like, it completely altered my mental status. So, like, anything pill form or anything like that, pharmaceutical, it just trips me out. I freak out. I don't want to take it. So, I'm telling the doctor this, that I'm having anxiety and that I don't like taking pills and stuff. It wasn't coming across clear to him that I was meaning I don't like taking pharmaceuticals. He only heard, you know, I don't like taking pills. So he wrote me a prescription. I go into CVS to pick up my prescription, and he had prescribed me Bactrim, which is a really, really strong antibiotic. In case it is MRSA, he just wants to knock it out of my system. He doesn't want to play around. So he prescribed me Bactrim in liquid form, which is kind of cool, you know. I don't like to take the pills, so I guess this is his resolution for me not taking pills. And then also, he gave me a Bactrim cream, or a Bactrim ointment, so that I could put that on the raised areas. Also, I forgot to say that it had spread to my leg too, my right leg. So I have a bump on my right leg. And honestly, the raised bumps, they didn't hurt. They itched every once in a while, like I said, but they didn't burn, they didn't hurt or anything like that. Since I took my first dose of antibiotic last night before bed and put on the ointment, and then again this morning I put on the ointment. And now that I've been taking the medicine, it's burning, it hurts really, it's just sore to the touch. So I just want to let you guys know and to be aware of MRSA. A lot of people, you know, that don't work in the healthcare industry, they don't know these things, and it's like not out in the public for people to know. You just need to be aware of your surroundings and stuff. I mean, constantly wash your hands, and the, what is it called, the hand sanitizers and stuff. I mean, it's okay every once in a while, but I personally wouldn't use it, you know, if you're coming in contact with something. Soap and water is the best thing to kill these bacterias. And I wanted to show you what it looks like, so in case you might pick it up in your town or pick it up. And also, it can also be transferred through animal bites and animals. So if an animal has staph or MRSA or anything, an open cut, and it touches you, you can get it from that too. So just be aware, take care of yourself, and I'll show you. Hopefully you can see really well, but this is what it looks like, the bumps. And after the bumps go away, I don't know if you can tell right there, this one was a pretty raised one, and after it went away, it's scarred. So I'm just curious if the rest of these are going to scar, but it looks pretty bad. They've actually healed quite a bit since that cream. They were raised and a lot bigger last night before I put that cream on. And then here's my hand where she had grabbed and scratched me, and they've just turned into bumps. So just be aware of the condition, and if you happen to get a bump, don't let it just go like I did. I mean, I didn't let it go very long, but I should have been seen right away. And also in my herbal groups that I had told you about on Facebook, I had a lady connect with me privately in Messenger, and she said that she has been going through the same thing since November of 2011, and she sent me a list of all the antibiotics and things that the doctors have tried on her to get rid of it. Oh, I'm sorry that she's like going through all this, but the list of antibiotics, they started her out on very light antibiotics. Can at least say I'm fortunate enough to have a doctor that knows the seriousness of staph and MRSA, because he stuck me on an antibiotic that's very strong. And this poor lady has been through 10 different antibiotics. Her last antibiotic has been Bactrim. That was their last resort, was Bactrim. And she was telling me that this is the first month that it hasn't popped up. With that being said, once somebody gets MRSA in their system, if you don't get rid of it really quick, you could actually become a carrier of MRSA. So it can just stay in your body, and just one day, a year later, whatever, 3 months later, it'll pop back up on your skin. So it's a really serious situation. I'm not trying to fear-monger anybody on any little bump on their body, but go with your gut. Like, you know, my gut was telling me it was serious, and I wasn't listening. I was trying to treat myself, and sometimes it's not the right thing to do. You need to trust your gut. So after everything, you know, going to urgent care, I don't know what I heard, something, I think the wind's blowing pretty hard, But after going to urgent care, the doctor had me upset. I mean, he went to extremes. I know what MRSA is. I've been in the nursing homes. I know what the universal precautions and stuff are. But he went into such detail and such a long-winded explanation of MRSA, and saying that, you know, it can get in your bloodstream. He said 1 week it'll be a rash on your arm, and the next week you'll be on life support, that type of thing. And I'm just like, whoa, slow down. So he like really freaked me out. So I was really upset and emotional and crying. On top of it, my anxiety was flared up. So I get back in the car, and I call my work back, and, you know, I told her, I was like, I'm sorry that I lied to you, but I was like, I really did need medical attention. And I said, I just got out of urgent care, and just to let you know that he thinks it's either Staph or MRSA. And I'm sure she could hear me, you know, crying. And she was just like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. She was very apologetic then. And she just asked me to please fax over the paperwork to her and everything. So, and that's all cleared up. Like I said, I don't like to lie. I don't promote lying. But in this instinct, I'm glad I did, because if I had waited, you know, urgent care is only open for a couple hours on Sunday. I was scheduled to work Sunday. So if I would have just keep putting it off, it wouldn't have been taken care of, and I could have been in a worse situation. I could have ended up in the hospital. So I just wanted to give you guys an update on what is going on, and just let you be aware of Staph and MRSA. So I hope you guys have a good day. I hope I heal and I'm back on my feet. So we'll talk to you soon.